Hi, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Terrinique Show, a show where we talk about hair, love, faith, business, and a little bit of relationships. I am your host, Terrinique Pennerman. For those of you who may not know me, I am most known for being the founder and CEO of Kurlee Belle. Kurlee Belle is a natural hair care line inspired by hair recipes from the islands of the Bahamas. Kurlee Belle is formulated with all natural ingredients like banana, avocado, coconut, and honey for all hair types, whether your hair is straight, curly, wavy, kinky, or coily. Kurlee Belle, that's Kurlee Belle with a K, Kurlee, Belle is Belle, is for all your hair care needs. We have shampoos, we have conditioners, we have gels, we have a range of products. So check us out at curleybelle.com. But today's podcast will be about hair. Hair, a woman's crowning glory or her identity. In Proverbs 16:31, it says that gray hair is a crown of glory. It is gained by living a godly life. You've heard the saying before, a woman's hair is her crown. You've heard it. I've heard it. Hair is a woman's crowning glory. So what happens when your crowning glory, you start to lose it? What happens when it doesn't look good anymore or look how you think it should look? What happens when your hair starts to fall out? Do you lose your confidence? I know from being a woman that a lot of our identity and how we look is tied into the way our hair looks. You've seen it online several times, a meme or quote that goes, if my hair looks good, I can do anything. So what does that say? That says that confidence, who you are or how you look or how you feel is tied to how good your hair looks. Coco Chanel even once said, a woman who cuts her hair is about to change her life. So in this episode, we will talk a bit about hair. I'll share a bit of my hair journey, and we'll talk about hair in general and how that affects a woman and her life and how she shows up in terms of her appearance. Research shows that in a woman's lifetime, she would spend about $55,000 just on hair. Hair styling, hair products, going to the salon, hair tutorials, who knows? But I know, and the research shows that if you live in Florida like I do, I'm in Miami. If you live in Florida, California, or Texas, you will spend more than $55,000 on your hair. A lot of us find our identity in hair. Women view hairstyles as an important element of their physical appearance when expressing themselves. The number one color that all women across the world aspire to when it comes to hair care, not all women, but the number one color that they've seen is blonde. Like women like blonde hair. I don't know what it is. I mean, when I think about blonde, isn't there a song that says blondes have more fun? I'm not sure. But you know, when you think about blondes, you think about someone who's carefree, beautiful, and just taking the world on with no worries at all. So that's my thoughts on, I guess, why women like blonde hair. Personally, blonde hair I don't think it would look good on me. We see that in the media, a lot of celebrities are known for their hairstyles. Like they set hair trends. For example, Rihanna's hairstyles are iconic. Whenever she wears something, you know, people want to emulate her hairstyle. I remember when she first came out, she had like this, it was kind of like a lopsided bob, I think it was, where it was longer on one side and then shorter on the next side. And every girl that I knew, not me included, I didn't try this trend, had like the Rihanna haircut. She has experimented with locks, fox locks. I see a lot of girls doing that because she's done that. She's experimented with red hair. Women do that. So it's so funny that we look to, you know, figures in the media to set hair trends, and then we follow them. I remember growing up where I would always like change my hair up. I had a short cut, then I had braids, then I had like a long weave, then I had curly weave, like, and you feel like a different person. And let's explore some of the psychology behind that, where you can change your hair up and it just makes you feel different. It makes you feel more confident. It just makes you feel like a different person. So hair definitely plays a major role, has played a major role in my life and in the lives of many women that I know. I would go as far to say that sometimes if my hair doesn't look good, I don't look good. I feel like I don't look good. And why is that? It's just so bizarre and crazy. So let's talk about the history of hair and how hair has changed. I can talk about my perspective as a Black woman. My hair, the natural state of it is naturally kinky, coily. But growing up, I don't remember having kinky, coily hair because my mom straightened my hair. Back then, she said that, you know, she straightened my hair because she didn't know how to manage it. It was just easier being straightened. But when I think about the psychology of hair, and when I think about how the media, how movies, how artists shape our mentality around the way we look, I think that my hair was straightened because it was to give a more European look. Because I even remember growing up, and I watched The Little Mermaid, Ariel, like my favorite character of all time when I was a child. You know, I grew up watching that movie, and I remember a scene in the movie where Ariel found a fork, and she took the fork, and I think she called it a doppelganger or doppelganger. Anyway, the penguin, or I don't remember, the bird called it a doppelganger, and she took the fork and she ran it through her long, flowy, red hair. And I remember like trying to do that, right? And it's so funny. I have a 4-year-old daughter, and she's watching The Little Mermaid now. And I caught her taking the fork and doing exactly what I did with it, what Ariel did with it, and running the fork through her hair. So it's just funny, like how we grow up. And our hair is kinky, curly, right? So it's not easy to run a fork through her hair. But it's so interesting to see how we grow up, and you know, our experience kind of shape us, right? Here I am, a girl who has naturally coily hair, looking up to, thinking that this character is so beautiful and I would like to be like them. That probably wasn't like the initial thought behind it, but if it gets into your subconscious and you start thinking like that is what is beautiful. And I think that is one of the reasons why, you know, my hair was straightened at such a young age that I didn't even know my texture until I was about like 22 to 24. I remember on Saturdays, I grew up in the Bahamas, so I'm originally from the Bahamas. I remember on Saturdays going to the salon with my mom and getting our hair, you know, done. I remember getting a relaxer and how it burned so bad, like how, you know, like when you're in the chair, and I know a lot of women who go to the salon can relate to this, and it's like the stylist, they forgot. You feel like they have forgotten about you because you're just sitting there waiting for your turn. I remember just sitting there waiting and thinking, oh my gosh, this is burning, and being a child and not wanting to say anything, but I couldn't take it anymore. And I was like, oh, it's really burning. Please come take this out of my hair. And I remember getting like these scabs in the back of my neck, and I would just pick them because, you know, as a child, you feel something like that, you're gonna pick it. And it was just so painful. Also, in between relaxers, I remember getting my hair hot comb straightened. And for those of you who may not know what a hot comb is, it's like a metal comb, and they would put it on a gas stove, yes, with fire. And they would rest it on the stove until it got to a certain temperature. And then they would take that thing and they would straighten your hair. Well, to straighten your hair with a hot comb, they needed to get as close to the root as possible. So I just remember sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, this is gonna burn me. And did it burn? Sometimes, yeah, if the hand slipped, it burned you and it left a scar. So we did all of this, like excruciating, these excruciating things, so that we could look good, so that our hair would look nice. And it's just so bizarre. It's just so crazy. Like, why would you put yourself through that? Just to get your hair straight or just to look beautiful. And the thing is, you know, a lot of people do go to extremes like that because of what they've seen, you know, on TV or in the media, because they think that that's beautiful. But I'm like, there's got to be a better way. Even my daughter, like, straightening her hair with, you know, the fork, like following Ariel, like there's gotta be a better way. But I just remember thinking in, you know, around the time that Chris Rock came out with the good hair movie, that there's got to be a better way. So if you guys haven't seen the Chris Rock movie, I really encourage you to see it. You should check it out. That movie is what really inspired me to start wearing my natural hair and stop relaxing, because there was a scene in the movie where Chris Rock, you know, he got a piece of raw chicken and they put lye or sodium hydroxide onto the raw chicken. And that thing, which is used as one of the main ingredients in relaxers, burned through the raw chicken. And I just remember having flashbacks of sitting in the stylist chair, getting with a relaxer on my head and getting burned. And I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. That is when I decided, absolutely not. I will not put another relaxer on, and I will go natural, because it has to stop. Like, there has to be a better way to look beautiful. During that time, I was working in corporate America as an investment banking analyst, and there were about four Black women in my area working with me, and everyone wore their hair straight or had like extensions, right? So I didn't feel comfortable going to work with my hair natural, like, because it was short, right? It wasn't long. I was just in the transitioning phase. So I transitioned. I didn't do the big chop, but what I did was, as my hair grew out, I trimmed the ends, and that's called transition. So big chop is when you cut off all of your hair, so all of the relaxed hair, and you're basically left not bald, but with a low cut. And transition is when you trim your ends off as they grow out, as they get baggy, until you have no more relaxed hair. And that's what I did, transition. So I just remember wearing like curly weaves to kind of fit in with my texture. I remember doing flexi rods and straw curls, because that would help the hair that was natural and the hair that was straight to blend in. So if you're thinking of transitioning from relaxed to natural, you can wear curly hair extensions, and you can also wear flexi rods, because the flexi rods, what they do is they kind of pull the natural hair where it causes it to blend. When you put it around the rod, it causes it to blend the straight hair with the natural hair. So I remember doing that, and you know, I'm like, there has to be a better way, and I'm just gonna wear my hair natural. Now, when you're transitioning from relaxed to natural, and you've been relaxed your whole life, there's a whole mentality mindset shift. Like, I would wear bangs, right? And when my hair was straight, my bangs would fall down on my face. But when you're natural and you wear bangs, your hair does not fall. If it's short, it does not fall, it stands up. So that took some getting used to, and I got frustrated. I'm like, you need to fall on my forehead and not stand up. But it's a whole learning process. So it's learning how to care for your hair, and learning how your hair reacts, learning which products to use, learning which hairstyles will fit, you know, your newly natural texture. So that in itself, you know, it bothers with your confidence. It affects your confidence. Not to mention family members, friends, colleagues, and they have never seen you with your natural hair, and they're like, hey, your hair looks good. Or other family members, girl, why don't you just throw a relaxer in that hair? Because you are really struggling. So you have to deal with that. So you have to deal with societal pressures. You have to deal with your own struggles. And it's like a whole thing. So any woman that has gone natural, who has been relaxed their whole life, like, hats off to you. Like, you did, I mean, it's not easy. It's a whole process. But, you know, it is worth it. It is worth it. In the long run, it is worth it, because there are so many benefits, you know, to being natural. People that suffer from alopecia or traction alopecia, you know, when you stop using chemicals, it slows that process down, and you're able to retain more of the hair that you would have lost had you been using relaxers, or had you been using wearing weaves, or just putting chemicals in your hair in general. So, and then for the body, what it does for the body, so your body is no longer absorbing those chemicals. And what we've seen now is there have been some studies that link fibroids to relaxers. And we know that fibroids is a big issue in the Black community, where a lot of women have that. And you know, the fibroids, they affect your reproductive system. So there's so many benefits to not using, you know, products that have chemicals in it, and using products that are made from natural ingredients. So not only do you have the benefit of that, but you also have the benefit of wearing your natural hair texture to the point where you're able to look at yourself in a different light, learn more about yourself, learn more about your genetics, and say, this is how I'm supposed to look, right? And let me figure out hairstyles. This is not the norm, but it's gonna be my new norm. Let me figure out how to tailor styles, or to tailor my appearance to how I'm supposed to look. So it's all about like embracing, you know, and embracing yourself, and it's self-love, self-appreciation, and confidence. And even if you're not a Black woman, or you're a Caucasian woman, an Asian woman, or a mixed race woman, it doesn't matter. You know, loving yourself, loving your hair. We know that hair is a big part of our appearance, but just loving your hair the way it naturally grows out of your head. If you want to change the way that your hair looks, I'm all for that. You know, as long as it makes you feel good, as long as it makes you feel comfortable and confident. That's really all that matters. But back to our point where, you know, hair is a woman's crowning glory. Women find their identity in the way that, in their hair, in the way that they show up in the world. You know, the thing is, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter if your hair is long, if it's short, if it's curly, if it's straight. The only thing that matters is, are you loving yourself? Are you taking care of yourself? And how you're showing up in the world for those you love and those who love you. And I hope that you enjoyed this episode of the Terrinique Show, and I hope that you tune in for more episodes. Thank you.